Hi, everybody. Nick Blasier back here with part two of this matchup between Georges Grünbaum and Sander Lylloff from the Monte Carlo World Championship on Sander's run up to becoming world champion this year. So far, he's playing really sharp in this match. George is playing a pretty good game too, and but Sander out to a big lead. Uh, so check out part one if you haven't watched that already. This is starting about 40 minutes into the match. Quick reminder before I get started too that I am still trying to raise funds to make it to Cyprus to do commentary there. So if you want to see me there, please do consider donating at Venmo or PayPal. I've gotten $100 so far, so we're on our way. Really, thanks a lot for that. Um, and my book's out too. So if you're interested in learning a system for adjusting your play to match play, please do check that out on Amazon. I think there's a review up now too, which I'm really excited about, and all the feedback and encouragement has been super cool. So yeah, and my website, go check that out for all information like this and an archive of all the videos that I've been working on. I'll get a link to all these mate videos sooner than later too. So without further ado, let's get going. Oh wait, did I just pause it when they're doing the break? Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead and figure out where they start again. Let's see. Oh, pretty close. Okay, so over here it's about 54 minutes. Let's go. Someday I will get better at planning these. All right, I think they start rolling at about 10 seconds in the video here. 16 away for Georges and 9 away for Sander. Yeah, here they go. All right, 3-6 to open. 4-2 should hit. Typical opening response. He's thinking hard about pointing instead, though. Interesting. Yeah, this one, after a 6-4, we hit with a 3-1. But other 3-1s still point. But it's always pretty close. So given that the 5 point is the 5 point, it's pretty easy for me to remember that hanging with a 4-2 because it's the 4 point and not the 5 point is a pretty clear play. He's going to take his time to work it out. Always fascinating to me when players don't like memorize these things and just figure that out somehow, come up with an answer over the board. This one, I don't know if there's any need to split here. Yeah, sure. I kind of like this play from Sander. Why not play down as well? We're down in the race. We've been hit. Why open up an attacking game plan? We're going to cover somehow, and then does Georges want to split with the ace or the six is the question. I think I like this configuration as well. Seems to, oh, we should slot. That's quite interesting. That's not a play I was looking for. 4-2 is going to point. I guess there must have been some really good duplication that kind of worked in his favor. And against many checkers in the zone, so reasonable, but the plays were pretty close. 4-2s are going to develop pretty naturally on both sides. 3-1 can make the 5 point at the expense of a direct shot. I would believe, being down in the race, that is worth it to have the rack. But you allow your opponent to escape with tempo and also double hit quite a bit. So I'm not sure about my first instinct. What does play B? To stack up the 10 or something like this? Or he could cover the 10 and split. Yeah, but he's just going to make the 5 point. Correct here. Okay. 5-1 is going to hit once. Nice shot for Georges. And Sanders still with a ton of returns from the bar, too. That's another reason why that hit was nice. He can enter high and hit here. I think that's better than entering low. Needs to get those three back checkers working. Has all the offense he needs at the moment. But the three checkers back and the 24-point anchor are the main liability right now, I believe. 1-5 is going to anchor and come down. Yeah, and still a bit too much work, especially with the giant match lead, for Sander to think about the cube quite yet. 2-1. This looks like a double split to me. It can make the 8, and then I think our best ace is to split 24 to 23 potentially. Maybe not, though, with how far down in the race we are. It probably just opens up a blitzing game plan. So the more that I think about this, maybe that's an overplay and we can just play 6 to 5, and our opponent doesn't have a whole lot to do with, like, other numbers that would hit otherwise here. He might want to run with a 6 next roll. That's not a lot of fun. But all of his rolls are pretty uncomfortable when we just stay anchored. So, and look at this, man, they're really close here. Having the better board makes it a nice opportunity, which is why the instinct was there to begin with. But yeah, I think I would have chosen Sanders' play over the board as well. 4-2, I think with a racing lead, so much front loaded here, even against the better board and only 9 in the zone, I think we're required to split. And I think it's going to come all the way out to the bar. There's just no time for anything else. Yeah. Nice play by Georges. 2-2 is going to be able to hit, but it could also anchor. I don't think that's much of a plan B. I think we just really need to not let our opponent escape here. So I'm spending 3 of them that way, and then do I want to split with it or find what else is there? I think it's just kind of required to split. I don't see a play B. Stacking up to the 5 looks pretty weak and inflexible. And this is a nice moment to split now that our opponent's on the bar. And 24 to 20 was actually like a reasonable consideration there too. This is a great shot from the roof for Georges. He's going to enter and hit. And we'll see how Sander performs from the bar. Oh, make sure they get the checkers in the right place. Usually going to come out of this with some sort of anchor. 5-5 is a really nice one. Can this attack anywhere? It can't move the back checkers very effectively at all. So, wow, this is actually a really tricky roll. Maybe we would love to just make the 3-point and have a 4-point board, but then where's our last 5? That looks pretty bad. Slotting the 3-point doesn't look any stronger. I'm like, wow, another play would be 2 out from the 20, and then we have what feels like the flexibility to play 13 to 8, but it's leaving a double shot. So yeah, maybe slotting the ace or just making, or slotting the 3 or just making the 3 is best. I think that's kind of where I would land on that one. Bar to 5 just all around was an option too. That's pretty interesting. Oh, perfect roll for Georges. Hits and comes out and anchors. 4-4 fans. Wow, really unfortunate. And yeah, this feels like a pretty easy money cube. Is there any sense in thinking about too good at the score? I don't think so. And with 4 back and a huge lead, he does have the 5-point anchor, but I think this is a little too easy and a little too much gammon threat for Sander to consider taking here, even with the rack. Wow, it's a lot closer than I would have guessed, though. I think I would have thought to pass this for money, too. And given that the numbers should pan out to a money take, Sander's going to play it about the same with the distance in the match to go and take it. Okay, okay. A Danish take in progress. Certainly we can see some wins here, but the gammons are scary enough for me to think about letting this go. 3-1. Maybe it's just best opportunity to break from the back right now, but okay, he wants to bring a checker into the action. My problem with 13 to 9 is that it doesn't see any points that he wants to make, so it doesn't feel like that effective of a checker in the zone, but I don't know. Can't be too bad. Very close. Okay. 5-3 enters 1. Now Georges under a little more pressure to clean up, since Sander's very likely to enter both next time. Okay, this must have been the idea behind George's play, is that he actually would like to make the 9 and kind of reduce mobility of all those checkers back. It works. Sander gets a fan. 2-1. I still think now's the time to come off the 18 while your opponent's on the bar, and while he still has structure. So destructive to give up a blocking point or play 6 to 3, something like this. So 5-1, 2-1, 1-1 I think is worth it. Very worth it. So just 18 to 15, I think. I'm not sure what, yeah. Okay, giving up the 9-point is much closer than I would have thought. So this must be what he's considering. For some reason, giving up the shots doesn't feel like the right thing. That's very interesting. I don't really see that at all. It does, I guess, so maybe I'm back to my other argument, where these builders on the 9 builders don't really effectively make the deuce or the ace. And so breaking it now does make it more flexible to make one of those points next roll. So there's that merit to it. But it seems strange to be considering it after we made the 9. Interesting. Okay. Ace 4, going to make a double anchor for Sander, so a little bit more to work with, but the 24 and 20 together are like about the weakest configuration of a double anchor game that there is. So looking for ways to come off of that somehow. Really wants the mobility off of the 20. If he could get aces and advance to the 23 somehow, that would be a nice improvement, but I don't think he's going to split to try to accomplish that. No shots in the outfield for Georges. That seems quite reasonable. What is this shot? Is it 5-5? Oh, he blocks that. Okay. So he can make the 8 if he wants. So he's decided one's going to the 8 and 2 are coming out, and what's his last one? Okay. Doesn't he want the board or the safety? And I do like the having the 15 for the direct contact with the 10. We still have our fallback plan of the 24-point holding game. So we're going to have a lot of numbers that are going to more comfortably point on head if we stay on that point. Yeah, this coming out seems prudent. And I don't think the 4th point and board is enough of a improvement to warrant like the swing on being hit there. And as Sander does, tends to find the right play. 6-3. Now's the time to volunteer. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's what Georges is thinking anyway. There's a blotting board. A lot of the hits. There's a little bit of duplication on hits. I'm not sure. I might have just broken the 9. I think that one's tough. I would have blundered. Okay. 5-2 hits and covers. Perfect shot for Sander, but still plenty of work to do. Recubes can be a little bit hard to find with the lead in the match here, but if we can turn this around, they should be relatively safe. What is this? Is gonna maybe come into the 6, 12 and 6, something like that. Just spreading out in the outfield, getting more builders ready. We would have loved to do something with the checkers on the 24 points, but no such luck. And he's getting close. Still an underdog in this game, but not by a lot anymore. I suppose if he gets the closeout, he can end up in too good territory some frequency of the time in this game. So timing this cube in this game with a match lead might be pretty difficult. It might be one that he just ends up having to play out almost every time. 5-5 looks awkward. I guess we're going to slot the deuce. I don't see us switching like 6 to ace or anything like this. What can you do? But under a ton of pressure to get those back checkers moving before he cracks now. Fortunately, his high numbers are blocked. I guess the 6 or something like that, so maybe it'll be kind of hard to crack as well. 4-1 is pretty perfect. Covers, steps up, a little bit of everything. And we must be getting in the range where we could think about it for money or something like this. And yeah, but at this match score, it would be a huge mistake. This is close to a money pass. And at the score, we need to adjust with the recube to not send it and just play it out. I do not understand the numbers of this one, actually. I guess we give our opponents a pretty potent weapon. What tends to happen is even though the 4 points that we get on a gammon gets us to Crawford, for whatever reason, the math comes out that they're still not worth as much, and we reduce our gammon value somewhat. We also give our opponent a really potent 8 cube when they turn around. So a lot of times in these kinds of scenarios, on Georges' side, he can just sort of forget about the gammons and play if there's enough wins and hope to get in a recube. But these are tricky to know. Really difficult. I wonder if Sander has some metric he's looking for, and if he's going to consider claiming it if he gets up to like that 80%. But it feels like if he gets to anywhere that he can claim it by these numbers, that it's just going to be too good. I would... I imagine that if I received this cube at this score that I would pass it. I'm not sure. So that's a little bit of incentive to send it. I find this to be a very difficult position to evaluate. Yeah, just simple and spread out is the best we can do. He's looking for anything better. Distribution a little awkward. I guess he sees that fives are a real disaster. Maybe he's looking for a way to save those. That must be the merit of this 11 to 2, 5 to 2 play, is that we leave some sort of 5 to play.
Are we sure it was like this? It was like this? Okay.
Players double checking the original position. They do have it right. That's funny how often people forget and mix that up as they look at plays. That Sanders one that moves the checkers around a lot, so feels like not too surprising that he'd run into that once in a while. And if we look at these numbers after this play, way outside of cube territory after this. Yeah, he's going to go with the tactical saving 5 to play next roll on some rolls. Get where that's coming from. And needs very specific fours to step up without cracking here. 4-2 is going to work. Good enough. Now the fives come out, so we don't want to play that. So I think 6-4 makes a lot of sense here now. Not to mention the distribution just looks really ugly with 5 on the deuce and 1 on the 6. So 1-4. Okay, a little bit of life for Georges. Gets to hit loose. When he's missed, he's kind of in the driver's seat in this one. 3-2 is going to hit, though, and the gammons are going sky high for Sander. 1-3. What does this need to do? Does it just have to hit again and hope that Sander cracks somehow? I would have to go through all the numbers here. It does look like there should be enough entering numbers that give problems, though. 1-3 cracks. 2-4. Might not be a lot of them. 2-2. So then no, 5-2 is okay. 5-4 gets the hit and also crack. Interesting. It gets some numbers, so where the downside is mainly 2-6 and 5-3. But if we don't hit, then we give up all 5s and 6s. So it seems like we must get more good numbers. Yeah, I think I'm talking myself into this hit. Seems fairly clear after playing around with it a little bit. We'll see if Georges can pull the trigger over the board. Not always as easy. Even with the huge discrepancy in equity, it can be difficult to feel certain in these like late stage game decisions. Just such completely different plans. Knowing exactly when to go all in, things like that is kind of tough. 2-1 survives for a roll. But on a sequence like this, now Georges can clean up and block whatever escaping numbers and have quite a game here. So what does this do? I feel like the 4 covers first. And then we have an interesting dilemma. Maybe, yeah, just out and don't let him at the edge. Okay. I at least wanted to think about coming out, but I think that has to be right. 1-3. We finally got him to crack. That's right. It gives him cracking numbers too, with especially aces. Aces are very nice. And he's going to break the 5 instead. That's an interesting idea. Duplicates the 4 to cover, but I think the long-term liability of it tends to not be worth it. Interesting. It's fun to kind of see some of these tactical tendencies of Sanders now. I'm not sure I was noticing that before. But he does also, like many of the very top players, tend to be very oriented toward checking out the next sequence and what roles my opponent has and what's a good number and a bad number for them and how can I make less good numbers and more bad numbers, you know? I see him spending the time to figure that out quite a bit. This is not a legal play. Is it? Unless I mistranscribe somehow. Okay. I'm just going to play it a different way. 1-1. and we will fix it at some point when I need to. So I've got George's spare somewhere else. Or sorry, yeah, George's. Oh, he's going to look at the suicide split. Interesting. That's going to be important to clean up then. So I'm going to go back in my transcription and enter the illegal play. Unless I just miscribe. I could also be just like mistranscribing an earlier thing, but I had one of them played as a 5. I could have just misread the dice. 1-1. Cleans up, and now he's got 5-1 and has to consider the suicide split. Is there any way? I mean, it feels like you probably give more numbers that buy more time. I don't see it here. I don't think it's quite so urgent. Yeah, quite a ways off. We can just contain and count on our opponent not rolling a 6. But he does. Advancing, have to count through numbers, but it gets closer to home, so the strategic instinct should be to do that. You might be willing to trade a shot or two for more likelihood at getting home when missed. And it might just be less shots to advance, too. I'm not sure. I have to go through the numbers here. 23 to 15 indicates that it probably is less. So if we come to there, it's 7s and 2s. So that's 12, 14, 16. And 10s is 18, 19 shots. And when we stay back, 4s is 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1 is like 15. And then 9s, so just a 6, 3 is 17. And 12s is 19. So I can't remember what I counted on both sides. Sounded like about the same shots, and probably the strategy of just being closer to home wins out then. The 9 was going to hit the other way, and it didn't hit this way. So I think Georges just hangs back, gets out of direct range with the blot on the 12, and keeps the other two where they are, spread out. I don't think the idea is to block 7s here or anything like that. We give up too much contact on an 8 or even a 9 or a 10, things like that. Just plays into the board. And now Sander's going to consider his cube option again. Okay, wins are way up now. Gammon's way down. This is going to decide the game, this sequence, quite a bit of the time, so there's definitely market loss. Doesn't risk almost any gammons of his own, too, is a very key feature of sending this cube. So it seems quite reasonable to think about. I don't think we expect to win that many gammons, so I do like the instinct of sending here. We'll see what it thinks. Yeah, and it is a small. And we can see this is so interesting at match score stuff. Equity wise, if we like do an adjusted wins kind of count, right? Like we have 6% gammons and 76. This is way worse, like in money terms, than previous positions where he considered the cube. But when it's primarily wins and not gammons, then we tend to play the cube a lot more similarly to regular scores in match play. The adjustments are much less and just rely on the take point, which isn't all that different. And now Georges has a decision he thinks here. He can lose his market on a 7 or a 10. But he gives up quite a bit of match equity when his opponent gets the last 4. Maybe it's worth less, like I was talking about, the next 4 points being quite a bit. The swing between those 8 points is huge, whether he wins the 4 or Sander does, and the last 4 is less. So maybe the market loss could be enough. 6, 7, 8. It's only 9 shots though, and he's just really under it. Maybe he wins a lot of those quarter of the games, and then the other 75% of the time, it looks like he wins 25% from the other. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's even a favorite here, so I think that's a tough one. And he is supposed to send it. Wow, as a major underdog. That was really sharp of him to stop and think about it. Misses the opportunity, though. This is a very difficult one to calculate. This I'd have to just play around with an XG and try to learn something about why I'm recubing at this score. But I think it has to do with what I was talking about, where the 9 to 5 points for Sander is worth a lot more than the 5 to 1. Apparently, there's just not that big of a change in the numbers there. Threes is not enough to consider going for the race, by the way. So what can we do with this? We could make the ace. Feels weird and impure, but I really want to leave the back checkers exactly where they are, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and so we should just make the ace here. But because of the impurity, he's thinking about some other play, and slotting the 8 and the deuce does have merit in the purest play that way. 5-4. That's a very nice shot for Sander. Cleans up. Georges is going to get one more chance to hang back and hope for a 6-5 eventually, or maybe a 6-1 or a 5-1 after the spare goes. Shouldn't have any trouble saving the gammon. 4-3, okay. So take one off, or take two off, sure. He's going to leave the extra spare out there to not give more shots. Wait for his opponent to potentially have to leave on their own. Slotting the ace and 6-4 to save a 6 seems reasonable. We don't really want to leave yet, or have to. But he's just going to play the safe way, okay. Probably very close. 6-2. Sure, 2 off. 4-2, just simple cover in 6-4. And he needs a 6-1 or 5-1 now, pretty much. 6-1 gets it. Wow. And not going to hit to make sure he only leaves a single shot, of course. And the ace doesn't win it immediately. It could lose the market at this score, though. So Georges is going to have another cube decision. I have no clue. I almost certainly wouldn't send this one, thinking that it'll be nicer to claim later if we get the chance. Yeah, and that we don't. I mean, we hit a third of the time, and we don't win all those games because our opponent has 6 off. So, not too surprising to see numbers like this. And I think since he didn't send last time, he'll be very unlikely to want to send on the swing here. But demonstrating a very strong understanding of these like deep, long match score situations. Just by pausing to think about it as often as he has. I'm impressed with that. All right. And an even bigger lead for Sander. Okay. $16 away, 5 away. That means that Sander's going to have a very hard time ever sending a 4 cube over. So Georges is going to have an easier time sending cubes early to make sure he doesn't lose his market. Doesn't necessarily mean that Sander's going to be giant adjustments to his take or pass point, but he's taking a much less valuable resource in the cube. So that will impact how he plays it. 2-2, okay, after 6-5, very strong point. Start pointing on head, gonna make the 11 as well with it. 1-6, he's gonna go for the split instantly. Yeah, I like the cube here, for sure. Seems provocative. And then I wasn't sure about the... Oh, interesting, he can pass this already. Okay. Seems like a bit of a match score tendency that we've seen with Sander already. 5-5. 16-8. Yeah, so this is pretty solid take for money and not adjusting at the score enough. Not too surprising. And look at this. Yeah, 11-5 a little better. But since he's supposed to pass, it doesn't matter so much. Okay, 5. Gonna hit and clean up. Reasonable play. Georges gets to continue his attack. Very nice return from the bar. Fading a 5 is huge. 3-6 does so. And I think this is going to be forced to hit loose for the tempo. Just hoping to buy some time and not having that 5-point covered. Not having the blitz continue. What is this? 5-4? Wow, that does very little. Maybe it just hits 5 to ace for lack of other options. But he instantly enters on the 4, and playing down to 13 to 8 would keep all the maximal structure. Yeah, that's the winner. Okay, reasonable. That one's tricky. It's hard to decide to leave a double shot, but it worked really well here. That's for sure. Um, Covers, comes around and attacks. Okay, and the blitz is on. 2-6 fans, very unfortunate. 2-2. Georges at risk of being gammoned on his own cube now. Very high risk to go to Crawford game too. I've never seen a backgammon in a position like this though. 4-1 is going to continue the blitz. 4 down, I think, for covers. I think we're all in on this. I don't think he has too much mobility worry to play from the 20 or anything like that. Just needs to make sure he makes the 5 and the 3 before Georges gets a chance to anchor. 5-4 is going to keep fighting for it. Lots of returns from the bar here. 5-5 is that, yeah, that just comes all the way around and hits that way, right? What else? It could make the 3, but I imagine preventing the anchor is more important. 5-1, okay. George is staying in it. 5-4 is going to hit again. Okay. Continuing the blitz, has an anchor with it now. Not that he wants it, but nice safety valve in case it comes to that. 3-4, not a bad shot. Prefers a 5, of course, to send another back, but has some chance at an anchor back there. 5-1 is just going to cover the point and hope that our opponent can't roll a 3 to anchor up. 3 huge for Georges. And he gets it. Okay. I don't. Can he afford against a 5-point board to come out and hit right now? I don't think he's ready. I think he should just wait for Sander to come to him, most likely. This is tough. He can get more opportunities, though, but okay, he is supposed to hit. Wow, that's a tough one to find. He's a favorite after that, huh? It just feels like you can instantly lose the game. And a gammon. But, okay, takes the initiative, works on escaping. His opponent's so likely to crack from the bar, I guess could be part of it, too. One of our checkers are going to safety. I guess the one on the 22 isn't really in danger right now. So some instinct to leave that there and just safety the guy on the 17. But it looks a little front-loaded. So maybe 22 to 13 could be a little stronger here. I'm not sure. It's also nice to like pressure the midpoints. We can't just play down. So yeah, okay. I think I like that play. Yeah, they're very close. 2-3. This is just going to advance with the racing lead. If Sander can just slime out of this without cracking first, he will be happy. That's going to be his goal. 6-2, probably playing 2 from the A point. Sure. Looks like good distribution. Man, a lot of very difficult endgame decisions in this one. Would love to play the 5 out. Not a lot of good aces with it afterward. We're volunteering a double shot anyway. Maybe that's just the play. What can we do? We can duplicate 3s with the ace by playing 6 to 5, but yeah, I don't think he has many options with the banana split. A relatively easy one to find. Those are tricky plays often. 13 to 7 is still a super strong candidate to score. Very interesting. 5-1 is going to cover. And then the 5 can come out for maximum mobility. Okay, okay. I would have thought maybe 15 to 10 around. Try to threaten, but I guess it's just leaving shots from the bar. Maybe it doesn't actually help that much. Very close, yeah. 4-4. This can just bring both points around. Oh, he wants to come out with one. Why is this? I think the 13 to 9 with 2 looks really nice to interact with the 4 and threaten to attack. So I'm probably starting there. And then I could play all the way 15 to 7. That's a lot of shots from the roof. I don't know. And okay, this doesn't give up so much. Very interesting. What is the... Just 15 to 11 is really important, along with the 20 to 16 for some reason. Okay, that's very interesting. Finds this play. 4-2 is going to hit. I think for sure. There's upside. We can still win this. Now I really want to go for it. I was hoping to find out that we had to play safe there after I was way off on the other. 5-6. Okay, great return for Sander from the bar. Georges needs a 4 real bad to save this gammon. All right, under a lot of pressure now. 3s, 7s, 9s, 10s all hit loose. The 3 will do. Sander back into his blitzing game plan. 3-1 doesn't hit. All right, 7s, 9s, and 10s to cover. 3-2 isn't going to do it. Uh, we could play to the, I think 13 to 10 feels very nice. Oh, he's just going to lift it. Interesting, just switch forward. He doesn't need the point to win the gammon. Okay. Very interesting. I like the 6 to 4 switch now that I see it. I was thinking something like 2 down or I don't know, or sorry, 13, 10, 11, 9 maybe maximize builders, but I forgot about the switching option. It's maximized that way. It doesn't work out for him though. He's got an awkward roll here. Okay, 6 down and advance the 4, gives up 6-1 and 6-2, but he gets shots on the board when he does get hit, so not so bad. Not even clear that he's getting hit with that. Sander needs pick and passes, 1-5, I think he'll do it. Unless he wants to keep it parked there, but I don't think he needs to. So hit and lift, okay. 6-1, pressure back on. I have a hard time with all these lifting plays because there's a lot of pressure when your opponent gets to leave a checker there on the 6. If they can anchor up, they can give you some problems clearing the mid here. We'll see. 6 is huge. 6-3. What is this going to do? Maybe just 9 to 6 to avoid having more blots that we have to clean up right now. But of course, yeah, eventually we want the 5 points. So slotting it makes a lot of sense. Sander in another spot where he needs to think about the cube. And is he still winning a gammon ever here? Does he win enough to get Georges to consider passing? Of course, Georges is going to have a really aggressive cube. If he gets a shot, I think, after receiving this cube, maybe the cube's coming. That could be enough, but they don't win enough, so maybe not. Maybe not. But he's going to have to get it in really early. He's only risking 1 more point in the match to gain so much. So this is going to be a very deep take point. But it looks very hard for White to win this game. So I don't know. It seems quite reasonable. Let's look at it. Okay, quite a bit early, but I mean, this is hard to figure out. If you're comfortable enough with this position to evaluate it at 89%, it's still not easy to recognize that you have to be even better to catch this. And again, it's not completely clear to me that Georges will know either. And given the things that I've seen with kind of some of the takes that Sanders made, if he doesn't have that like early game stuff refined, I'd be really surprised if he knows this. But it's possible if he knows the match equities reasonably well, Neil's numbers, things like that, and is comfortable doing take point math over the board. Then maybe he can figure out these end game decisions and come up with an actual mathematical answer kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. It'd be really fascinating to know like what he's thinking about to come up with it here. Surprising to see a whole 16% gammons too. I wouldn't have expected it to be that high, only down 66 pips in the race. But there's quite a bit to play for there as well, and so that's a difficult piece to evaluate. You pretty much kill those 16% gammons by sending the cube here. Wow, we need a player cam so bad in an interview. What is he thinking? We can look at a little bit of cube information here. You can see White's live cube take point is all the way down to 9%. Not too surprising. Sends it, and Georges snap takes. Okay, Georges knows that he can take real deep here. And it's another interesting. I kind of tend the way that, yeah, okay, here we are in this scenario I talked about. Any shot, and he's going to send the recube because he's risking so little. Sanders going to take it. And Georges on roll. Let's see if we can turn this game around. Fascinating. I don't even know what his winning percentages are there. They can't be that good, even with the shot. Yeah, 20% is enough to send that. That's really sharp stuff from Georges. I'm impressed with his knowledge of these like deep match cubes in this match for sure. Playing pretty well. Three's going to hit, five's going to cover. Yeah, I don't see much better than that. I think we do have to go for the hit. We might not get another chance. And, oh, we could make the eight. That's an interesting idea to keep it kind of pure and our priming structure more intact. But the double shot and board seems like a lot. I guess we don't care about gammons, so maybe that does win more. Maybe allowing our opponent to enter on the deuces isn't all bad. I don't know. More fanning numbers seems pretty strong too. Wow, and look at this. Very much stronger. This is hard to find, but it is a good example of the power of purity for sure. That this is permanent and it's going to be very hard to follow up on this and win this game eventually. Got so much work to do. This could be the last game of the match. We'll see. If not, then we're going to fly to 8 away, 5 away. And Georges will be feeling like he's a lot more in this match for sure. Oh, cool. And Sanders finding a nice DMP play here now, where he's not going to give a third checker to potentially get hit later, or to stay on the roof later and hit a shot while he's trying to bear off. Let's see if that was actually the right idea too. Okay, XG still prefers hitting for it, but I think that's the idea that he had, and often the right one. Okay, he's just going to come down and into here. So he's like really tending towards that DMP, not trying to pick the checker off the six. Just let him enter there. Try to break contact while he's on the roof. Not leaving any shots right now. So it's a very nice time for it. Things are looking grim for Georges. Six comes in and then continues to the four. Sure, that makes all our big sets play well. Next roll, I like that. Sixes and fives and such. In the driver's seat, Sander is here. Four in, 5-3 is going to be nice and even too. So just needs Georges to enter pretty much to secure this match. And he's going to have a lot of time to wait and let him do so. Georges doing his part to stay on the roof. We're going to see if Georges does get a shot eventually here. Oh, he rolls the 6-5 and resigns the match. Okay.
Thank you for the match.
Very good stuff.
Good luck.
Well, there you have it. That's how Sander worked his way through this match. And we can see in the end, I can put in the actual resign here too. Ended up with really solid PRs from these two players too. Nice stuff to see, of course. Everything we'd expect out of it. The main errors are just a couple deep takes from Sander and this aggressive cube here, and made no checker blunders. That's some impressive stuff. George is playing pretty sharp too. We saw one of his three blunders occur in the last game there. Difficult decision with the purity. So yeah, really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing the finals for sure of well, seeing Sander going on to play Mochi now too and see what he can do. It's really nice to get more familiar with his game, kind of see where he might run into things. So these like really deep match score things, of course, are not going to come up in the UBC stuff. They're playing 7-point matches. So I think he can be totally okay there. But yeah, it's always fascinating to me to see how players deal with this. Like I almost ignore this kind of study for like a large part of it. I have some rough idea that I've gotten through it, but I don't know it with granularity because it doesn't come up too often. We're not always playing this long in matches, but of course you can get into scenarios like this and you need to have some idea of what you're doing to get in the ballpark. But there were a couple that were gonna trick me for sure as well. George just really seemed to have the experience to know exactly what to do in all those spots, which was really cool to see too. So really well played match by both. I hope you guys enjoyed my added commentary to it. One more reminder to check out all the website, my book if you're interested on match play, and help me get to Cyprus if you can. And not sure what match we'll come back with next. I think these are all the Sander ones we had, but But intend to keep doing this. I like doing the commentary and everything, so it's a nice way to keep the videos flowing. Still doing my WBIF stuff right now, not eliminated yet. So yeah, tune into my YouTube channel too for more commentary and playing explains and things like that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, bye.